What if humanity's oldest God is not in the Bible, the Quran, or any modern sacred text, but has been forgotten, buried by the sands of time, in the spiritual roots of Africa? What if everything you've been taught about the origin of God is only a part, and not the oldest part, of the true story? Today, ancient Toles unearths a secret hidden for millennia. A mystery few have dared to touch. A name that echoed before there was a temple, a synagogue, or a church. An African God who predates all known religions, and who has been quietly erased from humanity's collective memory. What you're about to discover could turn everything you thought you knew about spirituality, history, and faith upside down. Behind the doctrines, traditions, and translations lies an untold story. A story that begins in the heart of the African continent. The true cradle of humanity was also the cradle of ancient spirituality. There, long before monotheistic religions emerged, ancient peoples already connected with the supreme creative and eternal deity. A deity not called Jehovah or Allah, but already revered, feared, and loved as the source of all things. Why did this deity disappear? Why has the modern world erased the memory of this African God? The answer is as complex as it is shocking. Colonization, cultural domination, and systematic spiritual erasure. All of this contributed to one of the most important figures in the spiritual history of humanity being relegated to oblivion. But today, ancient Toles breaks this silence. You will understand why Africa was not only the cradle of physical humanity but also of ancient spirituality. You will learn about this forgotten God, his name, his attributes, and why he was considered sacred even before writing existed. We will journey through the ancient texts, myths, and oral traditions that reveal his existence. You will discover how he was erased from dominant narratives and why this erasure still interests certain systems of power today. We will analyze historical, spiritual, and even archaeological evidence that supports his presence and influence. And we will explore how reclaiming this knowledge can transform your faith, your worldview, and your spiritual journey. This is not just informative. It's a provocation, a summons, an invitation to open your eyes and delve into a deeper, more ancient, more forgotten truth. So take a deep breath, and prepare to question everything. Because what follows will challenge everything you thought you knew about God, religion, and the origins of spirituality. And perhaps at the end of this journey, you discover that the answer your soul has always sought was where no one taught you to look. If it all started in Africa, why have not we ever been told this in schools? Why does not this information appear in churches, temples, history books, and Sunday sermons? Why is the cradle of humanity, the place where the first humans, the first villages, the first ideas of spirituality emerged, also the place most silenced when it comes to God? This is one of the most powerful questions you can ask. It goes straight to the heart of a historical manipulation that has shaped the way millions view their faith, their worth, and their spiritual identity. Long before Moses ascended Mount Sinai, before Abraham had any voice from the heavens, even before the Old Testament texts were written, African peoples were deeply connected to the sacred. They sought answers to existence, spoke with the invisible, celebrated rituals, and felt the presence of a creative force. They did not just feel it. They named, respected, and transmitted this wisdom from generation to generation. We are talking about thousands of years before the religion that dominate the world's spiritual imagination today. And this African spirituality was neither inferior nor primitive. On the contrary, it was refined, profound, and sophisticated. And most importantly, it was rooted in a real connection with nature, with the cycles of life, with the spirit that dwells in everything. It was in Africa that the first humans raised their eyes to the heavens and recognized the existence of something greater. Not a generic god or multiple deities merely out of superstition, but a supreme creative principle. A being who stood above all others. A God who was not made in the image of man, but who inhabited all things, including man himself. This God was the foundation of existence. And his name, though it varies across languages and traditions, carries the same sacred weight. Nzambi, Olojime, Oma, Are Emonios, Nyam. They are echoes of a single divine consciousness that predates the time of organized religions. This African God was recognized not only as the creator but also as the sustainer of life, the judge, the omnipresent spiritual force and the source of cosmic balance. The African peoples not only worshipped this God, they lived in communion with him. Their laws, their decisions, their rights, their family and social ties, everything was in tune with this greater force. There was a natural, living, organic spirituality. A spirituality that did not need stone temples to exist because the universe itself was the temple. Every tree, every river, every animal, and every human being carried a piece of the sacred. But throughout history, especially with the advance of empires and dominant religions, African spirituality was stifled, distorted, and demonized.